Check, check. Good morning. Hi. Good morning, good morning. Welcome, everybody. Good morning. Glad you're here. I don't know if it's the challenge of this month weather-wise, and a lot of people just decided to stay in bed, which no one would blame them for. But we are glad that you are here, and we're looking forward to a really, I think, a gift of a morning to us with the different pieces that we have. I want to just say, as a quick reminder, there is an art cart in the back, which you may be very familiar with, and you may not know about at all, but it is literally a cart right out those doors, which is full of all kinds of supplies of various things. And you are welcome to wheel that thing in here. You're welcome to take some of the trays, and it's meant to be a way of just engaging your body and your mind this morning, which for some of us that's super helpful to have. So that's available. I wanted to make sure you knew about that. A couple of other announcements. Branch Students is today. That is happening right after worship here. And you can talk to the Verkikes, or you can talk to Mike and Janelle if you'd like. They're here. So are Elizabeth and CJ. Any of them can answer questions for you. That's happening right after worship. There's also a volunteer appreciation party. We want to be clear about that. It is a party, and we would love for you to come. This is already happening next Sunday. Oh boy. So if you're losing track of time like I am, then this is an opportunity to get this on your calendar. This is for anybody who has done anything, even one time. And what we're doing on this Sunday is we're going roller skating, which is both going to be a lot of fun and potentially injury-inducing. I don't know. We're going to have to be a little careful, some of us as well, who are a bit on the older side of things and the less agile side of things. But we have roller skating, free food, free drinks. We'd love for you to come and spend a couple of hours celebrating. And then I want to invite Krista up. Krista is going to tell us about something that's happening for the first time here, a blood drive in April.
Good morning. Can you hear me?
Sure can.
So for those of you who don't know me, my name's Krista Peoples, and my husband Aaron and I have been a part of this amazing community for a little over a year now. Wow. And I wanted to share some information about our upcoming blood drive, like Chris mentioned. A little bit about my background. I'm a registered nurse and have, firsthand witnessed the life-saving gift that blood can be. Also, early in our marriage, Aaron suffered from a medical condition that required him to receive multiple blood donations. And so ever since then, we've really just tried to pay it forward by donating regularly and also coordinating blood drives. And we're really excited to bring this opportunity here to the branch. Our first drive will be on Wednesday, April 1st. There is a QR code in the bulletin and through the Church Center app. Our goal is to get 15 units, but I really think we can exceed that. But we need your help. We need your help to spread the word. If you live and work in this community, spread the word with neighbors, coworkers. The great thing, next week I'll have some flyers. I forgot them this week, so if you want to hang it at the library or anywhere else, definitely take one of those. Like I said, I'll make sure to have those here next week. One of the great things I think about having a drive at a church is that it gives an opportunity for people in the community to come into the building and kind of see who we are and what we're about in a just very comfortable way. And you just never know if someone may come back and really feel that they belong here. I think that was all I had to say. Definitely when you donate blood, you're doing more than just giving a unit of blood. You're giving hope, healing, and a second chance to people who are in need. So if you're able to donate, please sign up. And if you have any questions, let me know.
Thanks, Krista.
Thank you.
Yeah. I have a question. There's food, right? If you donate blood?
Yes,
Yeah.
it's
Okay. I just want to be clear about that.
What it's all about.
Yeah.
Snacks.
So I want to just kind of piggyback on that. I'm betting a lot of you have this app, but you might not. And this is where kind of you can find all of the information that's happening around events and where you can sign up for events. And I was reminded this morning when I was looking through the app that you also can share events. So Krista just said, hey, we're trying to get 15 units here. That's probably going to take more than just we can manage if it was only us who came on April 1. So you can share this event easily by going to it in the app. There's a little share button up at the top, and you can text this, email it, whatever, right, to somebody, and we can be spreading the word about this in a really, really easy way. So I do want to make you aware of the app in general and let you know about that sharing function of things. All right. So we're going to take a few minutes to greet here this morning, and the theme today is around this idea that the impossible is possible. And so to get us thinking in that direction, I want to invite you to just go back into your memory banks, or maybe it's very current for you. Who in your life helps you believe that you can make a difference, or helps you actually make a difference? And I'm not talking about winning the Nobel Peace Prize, making a difference. I'm talking about making a difference in the lives of your children, or making a difference in your workplace, or you get the idea. Who are the encouragers in your life? Who are the people that cheer you on, who help equip you? And you can share that answer if something comes to mind while we stand up and greet each other. If you're online, come on, put something in the chat window. We'd love to hear from you and who those people are for you. But let's stand for a moment. Let's greet each other. Let's maybe share who's an important person in our life, and then we'll continue on together. Hi, Fred.
Hey, friend, how are you?
I'm good.
Good to see you.
Good to see you, too. What's the week been like?
Okay. It came to a weird end with
Okay.
both cars needing significant service. It's like within 24 hours. So we get in the Tesla to go to school Thursday morning, and there's a thing like parking brake degraded, like.
Okay.
Be careful
Okay.
on hills or something
Okay.
like that, right? So I put it in gear, and it throws itself back into park. It says parking brake fails to disengage. I didn't realize that it engaged this parking brake always.
Hey Chris, so I'm having an issue with GarageBand.
Okay.
It's picking up audio, but the lines are like really
Faint?
small.
Okay. All right, I'll hop back there in a sec. Cool, thanks, dude.
So you can't.
All right, everybody, why don't we grab a seat? This Lent, the series that we are in, is titled Tell Me Something Good, which I really like the title because we're told plenty of bad, right? The headlines are everywhere. So this is Tell Me Something Good, and the tagline is grounding ourselves in the good news. And then every week, the title is The Good News Is, and then we fill in the blank. And today, it's Together, the Impossible is Possible. We're going to look at the feeding of the 5,000 as the story this morning, and I want to invite Katie up. Katie's going to lead us in a call to worship, and then we're going to have a little conversation about a piece of art. The words are up on the screen here.
If you need good news. If you need a word of hope. If you need a glimmer of joy. If you need to feel God's presence in your midst. This is the good news of the gospel.
So, one of the gifts of Sanctified Art, this organization whose resources we use a couple times a year at least, is that they create really meaningful art. And the image we're going to look at today is on the left-hand side. The QR code takes you to the image so that you can see it on your phone and get a closer up view. There's also a printed, poster size of the image right back here on the easel, which you're welcome to get up to at any point, of course, and just take a look at for a moment. Some images require, for me, I need the artist's statement because maybe it's not clear to me, at least, what exactly the image is about or what it's trying to communicate. This one is maybe a little more straightforward in some sense. This is about the feeding of the 5,000, and you can get a sense of that fairly quickly. Loaves and fish. But I want to give you just a second to look into it and to see what you notice. What do you notice here? And by the way, if something profound has struck you in the last 30 seconds, by all means, but you might also just notice some things that are a little more straightforward but are still worth mentioning. So what do you see, what do you notice as you look at this image? It fills the whole page. That's lovely. I hadn't thought of that. Five loaves, 2 fishes can feel like scarcity, but it doesn't look that way. Yeah, I'm coming to you because I knew you were going to talk. Yeah.
It looks like the arms are coming from a person that's made of bread.
It does. Interesting. Of course, the artist doesn't mention this in the artist statement, but you may know that, one of the things that Jesus is called is the bread of life. Yes.
I was kind of attracted to the color, and I was like, is that supposed to be a plate or a basket? And if it's a plate, it has a hole in the middle. I don't know.
Yeah. What is that? I wondered about that too. She doesn't say anything specifically about that part of the image. Yeah.
Ryan said that center part was a cookie.
Oh, dessert. Come on. I like it.
There are 7 smaller loaves and 7 fishes on each of the plates on the side, which might mean something.
Yeah. What do you think it means? What comes to mind?
Well, 7 is like a significant number in the Hebrew Bible.
Yeah.
I think.
Yep.
I don't know why though, but
Yeah, it's a number of completion or perfection. So the artist here is trying to say something. I would suspect she's playing off of that. Again, not in her statement, but let's assume that that's what she's up to, or at least wonder about it.
Since someone called attention to it, one thing that has a hole in the middle and has that texture might be a millstone that you use to make bread, which has biblical symbolism to it.
Good. Thanks, Neil. Maybe it's a millstone in the middle there.
So just kind of following what Elliot said, just like the 7 breads and the 7 loaves, and thinking about the story of Jesus teaching and then people getting hungry and eating bread and fish that multiplied. And to me, it thinks, I see that as like a table or something, and maybe this showing that there's enough for everyone with that sign of completeness.
Yeah, good. Thanks, Heather. I'm going to sneak right through here, take a shortcut.
I was also thinking and looking that in the center there's an arch, and the way an arch works is it has to work together, right? It doesn't work by itself. It kind of falls in, and when all the pieces are right, it works. But it only does so when it works together.
Yeah, lovely. So an arch, an archway, a boat. The artist asked the question. She asked the question, what is that in the middle? I would have guessed she has some idea, but is it a doorway? What might that mean if it is? Is it a boat? That looks like it could be a boat. What does that mean? Stained glass. Yeah, it looks maybe like some stained glass, yeah. In some sense, it's a simple image, and yet, as we've kind of done here, I think we've indicated that there's a lot going on, and this is one of the gifts of art to us, is that it helps us go deeper, and it has layers to it, and it might mean one thing to one person and another thing to another. And so thanks for entering into it. You can find this artwork in the devotional book for Lent, which there are a couple more copies of back there, and you'll also see it online this week on our social media pages. So thanks for doing that. I'm going to have Kevin come on up. We're going to sing a song which I think holds, this song we're going to sing holds the tension that is also potentially present in this image. Scarcity and abundance, right? That's one of the tensions kind of here, and one of the tensions in the story. It's just a small amount of food for thousands of people. It's not enough. And then there's more than enough, right? And this song speaks about the headlines and the heartache and the difficulty of life, especially maybe life in this moment. But it also speaks about a love that is all around, everywhere, with everyone, all the time. Both are true. There's this tension. So let me invite you to stand, and Kevin's going to lead us in singing this song here.
Every day we go to war again. We assume We know so much more than them before we hear what they have to say. Headline breaks, and we start to hate again, calling them names again. We give our peace away, and I hope they see it, 'cause I wanna see it. I hope we believe it. I wanna see the love all around you, and all around you. And I wanna know that love is all around you. It's all around you. Day by day, our hope fades away, and then we know there is pain within. We cannot medicate. Learn to feel and learn to begin again. Open our eyes again to see another's pain. And I hope they see it, 'cause I wanna see it. I hope we believe it. I wanna see the love all around you, and all around you. And I wanna know that love is all around you. It's all around you. See how it lights you up. It lights you up. See how it lights you up. It lights you up. See how it lights you up. It lights you up. I wanna see the love all around you, and all around you. I wanna know that love is all around you. It's all around you.
You can have a seat. I'm going to invite Katie back up. Katie's going to lead us in a prayer of confession. Just an acknowledging, confession is simply acknowledging what is true. And part of what is true is that we struggle to believe that love is all around us. We struggle to believe that the impossible is possible. And so let's pray this prayer together. Holy God, that love is all around us. The impossible is
Possible. 5,000 can be fed. The blind can see. The hopeless can find hope.
With you, the impossible is possible, but we are quick to forget that.
We look at our hurting world and tell ourselves that nothing can be done. We forget that you empowered the disciples to feed the crowd. Forgive our small-minded ways. Forgive us for doubting that change could ever come. Amen.
I'm going to release branch kids right now who will come back around the communion time. And they're headed down with Amy, which they can do that right now. And as they go, we're going to send them with this blessing. Let's say these words together. May your time together be filled with wonder, joy, and hope. You are loved.
When Chris sends out these emails about preaching, I almost always am certain I'm about to email no thanks. I think you heard me say this before because I did, fruits of the Spirit. I was like, oh, I'm not really interested. Then I found that one on gentleness and I felt this tug. The same thing happened with the email about Lent. I was like, I'm pretty sure this is a no for me, but I'll click on the thing. And this story is my favorite. Well, I don't know if it's my favorite story in the Bible. Let me say this. It is the one that I spend the most time thinking about. It's the one that I return to probably at least once a week. This month, every hour maybe. And so I'm just really excited to share it with you. I'm very aware that I am bringing my own version of fish and loaves today. I'm just trusting that it will be something that God uses that could be meaningful for you. So let's read it first. We're going to read the version of this story that is in Mark. This is actually in every gospel, this story of Jesus. And it goes like this in Mark. The apostles return. I'm starting just a little bit ahead of this. The apostles return to Jesus after their ministry tour. Everything that they have done and taught, they tell him. And he says, let's go off by ourselves to a quiet place and rest a while. And he said this because there were so many people coming and going. And Jesus and his apostles didn't even have time to eat. Here we go. So then, I'm going to keep going. So they left by boat for a quiet place where they could be alone. But many people recognized them and saw them leaving, and they ran ahead along the shore and got there ahead of them. And Jesus saw the huge crowd as he stepped from the boat, and he had compassion on them because they were like sheep without a shepherd. So he began teaching them many things. Here we go. Late in the afternoon, his disciples came to him and said, this is a remote place, and it's already getting late. Send the crowds away so they can go to the nearby farms and villages and buy something to eat. But Jesus said, you feed them. With what? They asked. We'd have to work for months to earn enough money to buy food for all these people. How much bread do you have? He asked. Go and find out. They came back and reported, we have 5 loaves of bread and 2 fish. Then Jesus told the disciples to have the people sit down in groups on the green grass. So they sat down in groups of 50 or 100. And Jesus took the 5 loaves and 2 fish. He looked up toward heaven and blessed them. And then breaking the loaves into pieces, he kept giving the bread to the disciples so that they could distribute it to the people. He then divided the fish for everyone to share. And they all ate as much as they wanted, and afterward the disciples picked up the 12 baskets of leftover bread and fish. A total of 5,000 men and their families were fed. When I think about Jesus, there are 2 main themes that come to mind. The first is that Jesus is always with people nobody expects him to be with. He's always with the people on the margins, and that's, what we talked about last week, right? Always, without fail, that's where he is. And the second is that whatever problems, when you're around Jesus, whatever problems seem unsolvable are solvable. If you can't see, now you can see. If you can't walk, when you're with Jesus, now you can walk. If you feel alone, now you can belong. If you are lost, you don't have any purpose. With Jesus, now you have meaning. And it leads me to think about the 5,000, just to start there. These people, how lost they must have been to run around a lake with the hopes of being near this guy who they've heard has something to offer, right? How much suffering must have been going on in their life that they're let's just figure out if we can get near him. How overwhelmed they must have been thinking that that this could offer them some sort of comfort. And in that way, I feel like a member of the 5,000, right? I can do a lot to keep my fears at bay, try not to let myself spiral about what's going on. But when I look up, it feels like so much. The wars, right? ICE in our neighborhood, racism that seems to have no end, the school system, people not being held accountable when they do what feels like objectively terrible things. And that's not even the personal things going on, right? And so I feel like when I look up, everything around me feels impossible. It is unsolvable. There's no way that this can change. I feel overwhelmed. And I feel desperate for a hope that might come from this ultimate source of healing. I want to run around the lake and see if I can get by someone that could give me hope. That may be where you are today too. You're just feeling lost. And so if that is you, I just want to invite you to stop here at the story, this place, and just let yourself be part of the crowd who runs around and just tries to get close to what they believe could be the source of hope. That's what we're singing about, right? I just want to see this love. I want to have eyes that can see it. That's what we're hoping for. I think it's one of the reasons we get together on a Sunday morning like today is maybe if I just go, I'll bump up against something that will help me keep going. And so if that's you, if the world or what's in your personal life just feels absolutely impossible, I just want to invite you to stop right here and be part of the group on the grass. And just try to get yourself close to the love of God and see if that shakes something loose. There is a part of me that is hesitant around a theme like this, the impossible is possible with God. I did kind of cringe a little bit, actually, when I saw the title for this week, even though it's a very tender, important story for me. And that's because I think Christians have used this in a lot of terrible ways, that they've used this idea that God's got it to just bypass all sorts of discomfort and to sort of take ourselves out of the mess of being love in this world. And this way of sort of washing their hands, to not really do anything about the worry. So, sorry, we can put that one slide up. This first idea, I think, with the crowds and the running around the lake is that with God, surprising things or impossible things happen. But then the second part, I think, is the rest of the story, which is we have a role in the impossible. I think the disciples see this, right? They show us this. They see the time of day, they see the hunger, and they don't seem to hesitate in considering that they might need to do something about this problem. However we want to critique them, like they see that they have a role. And I think this is the hardest part. It's like if we get ourselves to a place, if we can get out of that sort of passive response, it's like, what is it? How am I supposed to participate in God's love in this world? How am I supposed to be a part of the impossible? And I see us going, again, like one of two ways. I think this first one does have to do with just a more sitting back. It's that passive part that I do think as Christians we fall into more than I wish we would. I know that I do, which is like the God's got it, it's not for me. Or like it's a little too big, too messy, I don't think I can make a difference, I'm just gonna pray about it. And I don't mean to minimize the importance of prayer, but it can be like a way of like taking ourselves out of love. I'm reading a series right now. Does anybody else like the Louise Penny mystery? They're real great. Okay. Oh, okay. Well, I'm in the thick of it, and the reason that I love these books, actually the mysteries can be quite intense, so it's really not like me to like these books, but she writes about the internal world of the characters. It's so good. Cannot recommend it highly enough. So the book I'm in right now, we can talk about it later, is like one of the key characters is really wrestling with this tension of like, am I supposed to, I need to rest and recover, or am I supposed to participate? And that tension of like, how do I navigate this place in life? And the writing has been really moving to me. And one sentence that I actually read yesterday that she wrote was, there's a difference between being in sanctuary and being in hiding. And if I am honest, sometimes when I see the problems of this world, actually I do go into hiding. I retreat. I get overwhelmed by the significance of the problem and I just kind of take myself out. One of the places I'm the most aware of this response in me is when I see someone on the corner holding a sign for help. I do see them. And I do feel something in me, like I can imagine pretty quickly a story of how someone might find themselves unfairly in this position. And I have a response of wanting to help. And then like almost immediately it feels too big, I feel, I don't have confidence and I avert my eyes. And the problem with this is that I think when we avoid any responsibility or responsibility to attend to the needs around us, we actually hinder our own growth. Not only are we not participating in this miracle, we're also taking ourselves out of what can be a personal change. And I think when Jesus asked his disciples to feed the crowd and they're like, with what? That is the very like defensive backup, like it can't be me. Like, how could I? And if the story had stopped there, a lot would have been lost. Instead, what happens as they go through the process is probably an experience that broke them open and expanded their heart in ways that nothing else could have, right? Like opened them up to the possibility of what being near Jesus and what participating in love and doing something really uncomfortable actually is. This is where I like to think of the Grinch. It's one of my favorite parts of that story is like when he's at the top of the hill and then he hears the singing of the community, like just a circle of love, and then his heart grows 3 sizes. I want that for my life, like all the time. I can feel how much my heart needs to grow. And I think when we choose this passive, or when we let ourselves go into like a it's too much with what sort of stance, we run the risk of just keeping a small heart. And, of course, people's needs continuing. Now, the other response to participating in the impossible is one I'm actually way more familiar with, which is believing that it is my job to make the impossible happen on my shoulders. Like to see that people need to be fed and to find a way to mill the grain, bake the bread, and feed it to everybody all on my own. And this, I think, actually shows up a little bit in the story, that the way it's told in the book of John, where in the book of John, the way he tells it is like the food comes from a boy, like a boy offers his lunch. And to me, this scene is sort of like Frodo in the Fellowship of the Rings. And right, like where they're trying to decide who's going to take the ring of power into Mordor, and all like the wise warriors and the people who have experience are fighting over it, and then the little hobbit is like, I'll carry the ring, you know? And it's this really powerful moment, and that is sort of what I imagine. It's like, I'm just supposed to stand up and like offer my life, I'll carry the ring, just me. And in those movies, which you know our household loves, right, there is all this tension between like carrying my own burden and sharing my burden with the community, or carrying the burden together. And I think in our culture, right, of very bootstrappy independence, we feel this responsibility, like when we see a need, I have to make it happen. I have to give everything. I have to be the solution, be the miracle. And I think I'm wondering, like, if that isn't what the disciples felt, right? Like, they see the problem. They know, they've just come back, the way Mark tells it. Jesus had just sent them out. They just come back. Like, they know they are participants. They know they have a role to play. And so maybe in this, like, very honest way, they were like, okay, we got to help these people. We got to solve this. We got to end this day. Jesus is getting really tired. What are we going to do? And so they're like, not in a rude way, but like, let's let these people go so they can eat before it gets too dark and it's not safe to travel. They're doing it based on their own strength, and they're just figuring out what will work. And actually, it sounds like kind of a big job. Imagine trying to get 5,000 people like off the grass and to food, right? It wouldn't. I guess there's a way in which sometimes when I read this, I'm like, those disciples, eye roll. They're always trying to like take the easy road out. But reflecting this week, I realized maybe this was just like them trying to be the miracle, like really just trying to get people fed. And forgetting, like, who they're right next to. Forgetting that their role is not to be or do the complete impossible, but to participate with Jesus. As I said, this is the one I'm the most prone to. I'm most prone to overstating my role. And I think there's a lot of reasons for this, not the least of which is some really terrible group projects in college, like where people didn't turn in their parts and I wrote the whole lab report, you know? But here's the consequence of believing or overstating our role, imagining that it is our job to bring all of the love into the world. First, it's that we overburden ourselves, and by doing so, we really limit the outcomes. And that is just real. At some point, my strength runs out. At some point, I can't come up with that same level of like fire and determination because I'm burned out. In 2022, I listened to a podcast, a recording between Brene Brown and Karen Walrond. And besides the feeding of the 5,000, this podcast, I have probably thought about this conversation probably at least once a week since then, in the last 5 years. Karen Walrond, I think I'm saying her name correctly, she wrote, among other things, the Light Makers Manifesto. And it's a book about how to be an activist or how to participate in the impossible without losing your light, without losing your joy and your sense of self. And in this conversation, this is 2022, if you can like rewind, we're like just maybe coming out of COVID. Black Lives Matter, George Floyd, everything is still very hot. Just welcoming refugees maybe back into the country, and the Ukraine war has really just begun. And Brene Brown is just like in this conversation, she's like, I don't have anything else. I don't know what to do. I'm having trouble getting out of bed. What should I do? She's embarrassed actually even to say that. And Karen introduces this idea of hands on deck. She said, like, what we've been doing maybe is participating and saying, it's all hands on deck, all hands on deck. We need everybody to do this. We can't do this alone. And what Karen says is it's hands on deck, meaning like when you have something to offer, you get your hand on deck and you participate. But when you don't, or when you start to feel your energy waning, you take a step back and you let somebody else have their turn. This has been such a guiding phrase for me in the last 5 years since I first heard it. Like, it's just hands on deck, Bethany. Like, if it's my time, then I better get my hand on. But if it isn't, then I better step back and trust that other people will be there, will put their hands on. Just offer what I have. And that's the second part. I think when we imagine that we are the miracle, that we have to make the impossible happen, we miss the power of community. We miss all the other hands being on deck. There's this part in the story, it's verse 38, where Jesus, after telling them that they are going to feed the crowd, he says, how much bread do you have? And it doesn't actually say, it says the disciples returned, so they must go and find out. And I don't know how this happens, but I have enjoyed imagining the scene. I don't know if they're like going to their own little bags and like rustling through, like, oh my gosh, what do we have left? Or if they like went out into the crowd and like, do you have any food if they're serving? But either way, it's this very biblical stone soup experience. They just find what's there and they bring it to Jesus and they're like, this is what we have. What do we all have that together we can offer that will make a difference in an exponentially greater or deeper way than what one person on their own could? It's the difference, I think, maybe of having one voice sing versus being in a choir. Or the difference of having like a protest sign on my lawn versus being in that experience of a whole community marching. My family really experienced this over the last month, and one of the things that I said to Chris in the hospital with my mom was like, I have never known the power of a heart emoji like I have during this time. And I think, you know, what are you going to do? What are you going to send via text that helps someone in their grief? It feels like nothing. So we got a lot of heart emojis. And I cannot tell you what a pile of heart emojis feels like, but I hope that you get the chance to feel it. Because it does something exponentially more than what we could imagine or what one person maybe could do on their own. I mean, one heart emoji is wonderful and heartfelt, but like a pile is really something. The second part of scripture that Sanctified Art wanted us to consider today comes from Ephesians 3. And it's these verses that you know God can do more than we can imagine, especially if you grew up in the church. I love those verses growing up. I love them because I have such a big imagination. I was like, try me, you know? But when I really read it this week and read more of the context, I realized there's actually so much more here. And so I want to go a little bit, let me see if I can get this here. Sorry. More than, do you have all of them or just those ones? Okay, hold on. Here we go. No, don't read it. Don't read it. My phone's trying to read it to me. Okay, so from Ephesians 3, I'm going to start at verse 14. So what's happening here is that Paul is writing to the church in Ephesus, and he's writing to them, and he's like, it's a miracle you exist. This almost didn't happen, and I'm not a church historian, but, you know, this is like a really big deal, a major conflict. Talk about an impossible thing, like, are we going to let the Gentiles in? And if we are, how are we going to do it? Like, they are more lost than anybody, right? So this was like a really impossible thing. I think probably the way Paul and the apostles felt considering this issue is a lot like how we feel. Like, this can't happen. It's too many big things. I don't even know where to start. It feels impossible. So Paul's writing to the church. He's like, you guys, I can't believe this happened. It's amazing that I even got to come send this good news to you, tell you about Jesus, and look, you're actually a church. Like, it's real. The impossible has happened. The fish and the bread have multiplied. And then this is what he says to them. Starting at verse 14, he says, like, when I think of all of this, that the impossible has happened, I fall on my knees and I go to the creator of everything in heaven and on earth. And I pray that from his glorious, unlimited resources, you will be empowered, that you will feel the inner strength of the Spirit. I pray that Christ will make his home in your hearts, that you will trust him, that your roots will grow down into God's love and keep you strong, that you will have power to understand, as God's people should, how wide and how long and how high and how deep the love of God is. That you would actually experience the love of Christ, though it is too great to fully understand, like all these miracles around us. And that you would be made complete with all the fullness of life and power that comes from God. And then that God, who can do more in us than we can imagine, that he would accomplish more in us than we might ask or even think. To me, Paul is saying this, like, look, church, the impossible has already happened. You are in a lineage of people who are living things that shouldn't be, like, that can't be explained. And the only way is because we've been allowed to participate in this wide, deep thing called the love of God that does more than anybody can ask or imagine or fully, completely understand. You're going to keep doing it. It's like, I want you to keep doing it. That's what Paul is saying, but you're not going to do it by yourselves. You're going to do it because you're deeply rooted in knowing God's love and in being in a circle together. And that's us. We're the Gentiles. So here's what I'm hoping for today. Again, maybe you stopped right at that part of the 5,000. Like, maybe you just really need to be in the green grass next to the love of God. I want to invite you to do that, whether it's just taking in that you're not alone in this room, or when we come for communion, really just receiving something, like God is here, and that's going to be what I take in for today. And if there's more, if you feel available to more, then what I want to invite all of us to is this, like, we come to receive so that we can give, but not so that we can give like on our own and taking on everything by ourselves, but so that like we together can contribute, can participate in bringing what feels impossible into reality. So Chris is going to come up and he's going to invite us to communion. And I'm just going to invite us to sense that together, like as we're in line together, that we're not alone, and as we receive, that we're receiving, yes, for ourselves, but also so that we can participate in something bigger.
Central to Christianity is the impossible, of course. The risk for us, perhaps, in that we celebrate this meal every week is that the impossible would just kind of be lost on us because it would become routine. So, I want to draw your attention to the impossibility of this table. And I want you to think about how really, in a way, nonsensical it is. Dying is the way to life. I know, we talk about it all the time, but it doesn't make sense, in a sense. Or at first blush, it sure doesn't. It feels impossible. The disciples absolutely felt like this whole thing that they had their hope in was dead with Jesus' dying. There was no more hope. It was now an impossible situation. And yet. So as Bethany invited us to come, perhaps coming to the table, just trying to get close to the one who reinvigorates our hope, who loves us in a way that changes us and helps us to believe again. Maybe there's something specifically impossible in our life that we're holding today. Can we bring that with us here and offer it and trust again? The invitation is to everyone this morning to come to this table to share in this meal. And so I hope you know that you're invited to do that with us. You can come forward to a few folks who will be up here, or you can go to the couple of people who will be in the back. In both places, they'll put a piece of bread in your hand. You can take one of the cups from a tray. If you need a gluten-free option, that will be up here at the front. And then take it back to your seat. We'll eat and drink these gifts together. So I need some folks who would help serve communion, which, if you didn't know, is something we welcome and invite anybody to do. No test to pass, nor an age requirement to hurdle over. We think that just as Jesus invites us to consider the children, and he tells us, hey, the kingdom of God is theirs, we invite everyone, including those who are younger among us. They do their part every week, and then I wait for adults to show up, and eventually, with enough time and awkwardness, we do exactly that. These are the gifts of God for the people of God, and we'll get ourselves all situated here. Let's share in them together, friends, these gifts together. Let's share in them together. can you, in holding this bread, also hold maybe it's just a little bit, but can you hold the love that God has for you? Can you feel it and even taste it this morning? Let us do our best to do exactly that as we take and eat. That love that's offered to you and to I, it is intended to restore us and renew us, to feed us, and like a cup poured out, like a life poured out, it is also meant to spill over into the world. And so we take that love and share it as well as we drink here this morning. We're going to make music in a couple of ways. Kevin's going to lead us, but we're also going to let our cups clink around and make their own special noise unto the Lord. This is a song we have not done before, and it fits really well with what we're talking about here, and it fits really well coming after communion. The title is Bigger Table. It's a higher energy song, and we had a few other musicians who were going to be along with Kevin this morning, but sickness is running rampant in the world, and so Kevin's just here, just Kevin. I know it. That means it's really Kevin and us, all right? So you may not know this song, but you'll probably pick it up pretty quickly. And so let's stand and join him as much as we're able here.
Well, since we haven't sung this together, I want to just teach you the chorus at least. We'll sing that together. So at least you can sing that part out, hope. Let's see, I got to find my note. So the chorus goes like this. A house for the hungry, a well for the thirsty, where all saints come together, shoulder to shoulder, a welcome for the traveler, new wine for the vineyard, and all things God is able. Love has a bigger table. So, sing that part at least with me, and the rest we'll figure it out together. Come gather round the mystery of love in our broken history, where grace heals the fault lines in me. Time and time again, it welcomes me in to a house for the hungry, a well for the thirsty, where all saints come together, shoulder to shoulder, a welcome for the traveler, and new wine for the vineyard. In all things God is able. Love has a bigger table. Show me who is my neighbor, the Christ hidden in the beggar. 'Cause love doesn't meet a stranger, love calls them friend and welcomes them in to a house for the hungry, a well for the thirsty, where all saints come together, shoulder to shoulder,
for the traveler, and new wine for the vineyard. In all things, God is able. Love is a bigger table. There's an empty seat waiting next to me. We gotta make some room for each other. Let my enemy be my family. Fill my cup till it's running over. There's an empty seat waiting next to me. We gotta make some room for each other. Let my enemy be my family. Fill my cup till it's running over. A house for the hungry, a well for the thirsty, where all saints come together, shoulder to shoulder. Welcome for the traveler, new wine for the vineyard. In all things, God is able. Love is a bigger table. His love is a bigger table. Love has a bigger table.
Way to go, Kevin. Way to go, man. And all of us.
We'll
as
do it
well.
again some other time with a band and
We'll
stuff.
do it again. We'll do it again. It reminds me of something that's on our wall in our kitchen. When you have more than enough, don't build a wall, build a bigger table. And I think that's who we're trying to be, yes? Is those kinds of people. And sometimes, though, it doesn't feel like there's more than enough. I love that line in that song, like, let my enemy be my, what's the rest of it? Be my family. Oof. I kind of sang that half-heartedly the first time, you know? It feels impossible. But maybe today we have a little bit more of hope and belief that the impossible is not as impossible as we might think it is, especially together. So, as you leave this place, receive this blessing, friends. When you meet anger this week, speak with love. When you meet fear, speak with hope. When you meet pain, speak with gentleness. But no matter what, speak this good news. For the gospel is love and justice for all. It is joy that surprises and nonviolence that transforms. The good news of the gospel is alive in this world. So go forth speaking. For if you won't, then who will? Go and be those people. Amen. Amen. Thanks for being here, everybody. Enjoy the topsy-turvy weather. Have a great week. We'll see you next Sunday.